I'm going to tell you straight out, stop being nice to women right now. Kindness and respect are things you should always be, so that's not what I mean. Being too nice, like a guy who is all about making other people happy and forgets to stand his ground, is what I mean. You believe that being nice to her will make her like you more, right? You think she'll be pleased if you play it safe, put her needs first, and tell her everything she wants to hear? But guess what? That's not how it works. Women are strong and independent, and they see through that they want a man who knows who he is, a man who doesn't compromise his values just to get approval, a man who isn't afraid to challenge, to push limits, to set expectations. You won't get respect or admiration by doing everything for others and losing your own personality in the process. You also won't get anywhere by always saying yes. That's not strength, that's fear. You have to own your place. Be brave. Be firm. You should be yourself, and if she doesn't like that, it's her loss. That being said, if you want her to respect and admire you and actually see you, you need to stop being nice and start being real. Be true. Be unapologetically you, because when you do that, you stop chasing approval and start attracting the right kind of person into your life. So stop trying to please. Stop trying to be someone you're not. Stop compromising your own words. Stand tall, be brave, be the man you are meant to be, and everything else will fall into place. That's how you give a powerful message with conviction, no fluff, just straight talk. You know there's an important point. I want you to understand, and it's at the heart of everything that truly counts in life, stop overcompensating. I'm talking about the way so many of us go through life trying to please others, trying to fit into someone else's standards. We believe that if we just do enough, say the right things, and constantly put others before ourselves, that's how we'll earn their respect, their admiration, their love. But let me tell you right now, this mindset is flawed, and it's time you let go of it. The truth is, overcompensating only leaves you exhausted, resentful, and with a sense of self-worth that's tied to external validation instead of internal strength. You see, when you spend your time trying to please others, when you twist yourself into a shape that doesn't fit, you lose yourself in the process. You're living for someone else, following a script that's not yours, just to get a smile, a compliment, or a pat on the back. But ask yourself, is that really worth it? Is the effort worth sacrificing your own identity? When you're constantly overcompensating for someone else's approval, you're not allowing yourself to grow, you're not allowing yourself to evolve into the person you were meant to be. And the worst part is, you never truly feel fulfilled because deep down you know that the version of you that's being accepted isn't even the real you. It's a version that was tailored to fit someone else's idea of what you should be. But here's the deal. People, especially women, don't need you to change who you are to gain their respect or love. They don't need you to be a cushion, bending over backwards, sacrificing your happiness for theirs. That's not attractive. That's not strong. What's powerful is someone who knows their worth, someone who isn't afraid to stand firm in their conviction, someone who says, "This is who I am, and if you don't accept that, then it's your loss, not mine." That's strength. That's a person who knows that their own well-being is just as important as anyone else's. That's the kind of person who earns true respect, not by trying to please everyone around them, but by being unapologetically themselves. Think about it. When you stop overcompensating, you give yourself the space to breathe, to grow, and to attract people who genuinely see and appreciate you for who you are. You don't have to try so hard to be someone you're not just to gain approval. Instead, you attract those who are aligned with your values. Your energy and your vision for the future. You start surrounding yourself with people who elevate you, challenge you, and support you for the right reasons, not because you're jumping through hoops to gain their favor. And let me tell you something else, overcompensating doesn't just affect your relationships with others, it affects your relationship with yourself. Every time you go out of your way to make someone else happy at the expense of your own needs, you're telling yourself that you're not enough as you are. You're telling yourself that your voice, your desires, and your feelings don't matter as much as someone else's. And that's a dangerous message to send to yourself, because if you don't believe in your own worth, if you don't value your own needs, then how can you expect anyone else to? I'm not saying you should stop being thoughtful, stop being kind, or stop being a good person. but there's a difference between being kind and overcompensating. Being considerate means you care for others without sacrificing your own well-being. It means finding a balance between giving and receiving, but overcompensating is one-sided. It's about giving all of yourself without expecting anything in return until eventually there's nothing left of you. That's not sustainable, and that's not how you build real meaningful connections with people. When you stop overcompensating, you take back control of your life. You get to decide what's important to you. You get to decide what's worth your time and energy, and you get to protect your own peace. This is about reclaiming your personal power. It's about learning to say no when you need to, even if that means disappointing someone. It's about standing up for your values and not compromising them just to keep someone else happy. And let me tell you something, when you start doing that, people will start respecting you more, not because you've done everything for them, but because you've shown them that you value ourself enough to stand firm in your boundaries. It's not easy to stop overcompensating. It's not easy to stop trying to please others, especially when it's been ingrained in us for so long. We've been conditioned to think that we have to bend ourselves into shapes that don't fit in order to be accepted, but that's a lie. The truth is, you don't have to lose yourself to gain someone else's approval. The right people will come into your life when you stop trying to be something you're not. They'll see the real you, and they'll respect you for it. And when you start respecting yourself enough to stop overcompensating, you'll find that the world opens up to you in ways you never thought. So let me leave you with this. Stop overcompensating. Stop trying to be someone you're not just to please others. Stop sacrificing your own happiness and peace for someone else's praise. Be real, be true, and be unapologetically you. And when you do that, you'll find that the right people, the ones who truly see you for who you are, will start showing up in your life. You'll start living a life that's aligned with your real self, and everything else will fall into place. Respect yourself first. You hear that, but do you truly understand it? It's easy to say, but when you really look at your acts, how often do you actually put your own wants, desires, and boundaries above the expectations of others? It's so common to think that respect must come from external sources, that we need to earn it from others in order to feel affirmed. But here's the truth: respect starts with you. If you don't respect yourself, if you don't value your own time, your own limits, and your own sense of self-worth, then no one else will either. And that's not a message that should be taken lightly, because how you view yourself is the foundation for everything in your life. If you don't set the standard for how you expect to be treated, you're leaving that responsibility in the hands of others. And when that happens, it's too easy to fall into the trap of having other people dictate your value. Respect isn't about demanding things from people or pushing them to see your worth. It's about having a deep understanding of your own value, knowing what you bring to the table, and standing by that with confidence. It's about not allowing others to walk all over you or make you feel insignificant. It's about setting boundaries and being firm about them, even if it means disappointing someone in the process. When you respect yourself, you understand that your time, your energy, and your presence are precious. As you stop giving them away to people who don't value them, and you stop allowing others to take from you without giving anything in return. It's about knowing when to say no and recognizing that doing so doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you a person who knows their worth. Think about it for a moment. How many times have you said yes when you really wanted to say no? How many times have you traded your own happiness just to keep the peace or avoid conflict? How often do you bend your ideals to fit in with someone else's idea of what's acceptable? These are signs that you haven't truly embraced self-respect. You've let external pressures dictate your actions, and as a result, you've diminished your own sense of self-worth. It's not enough to simply acknowledge your worth. It's about taking action, living with conviction, and upholding that respect. Every single day, self-respect is about refusing to accept less than you deserve, not because you're entitled, but because you understand that you have value and you're not going to settle for anything less than what reflects that value. When you respect yourself, you stop chasing after approval. You stop waiting for someone to give you permission to be great. You don't need validation from the outside world, because your confidence comes from within. And let me tell you something that's a game changer. Because when you stop relying on others to affirm your worth, that's when you start attracting the right people into your life, people who see you for who you truly are, people who respect you because you rock. Respect yourself first. That's the kind of energy you want to put out into the world because it's the kind of energy that draws respect back to you. You stop playing the game of trying to please others and start playing the game of standing in your own power. Self-respect isn't just about avoiding abuse, though. It's about setting the bar high for your own life. It's about expecting the best from yourself. It's about refusing to settle for mediocrity. If you respect yourself, you won't allow yourself to waste time on people or situations that don't align with your goals or ideals. You'll know when to walk away, when to cut ties, and when to move forward. You'll know that your time is too valuable to spend it on anything less than what you deserve. When you respect yourself, you demand that your time, energy, and resources are treated with the value they deserve. And here's the kicker: when you respect yourself, others will respect you too. It's the law of attraction. It's the energy you put into the world. Opal sense when you respect yourself and when you don't, and they respond accordingly. If you expect to be treated with dignity, you must first treat yourself with that same amount of dignity. It's about having the strength to stand up for yourself even when it's uncomfortable. It's about making choices that align with your sense of self-worth even when others may not understand. You don't need confirmation from the outside to know that you are worthy. Now let's talk about the second key idea. Strength comes from sincerity. This is where the rubber meets the road. People are drawn to authenticity. They are attracted to individuals who are completely themselves, people who are comfortable in their own skin. Why? Because authenticity radiates confidence. It says, I know who I am, I know what I want, and I'm not afraid to seek it. This is the kind of energy that draws respect, but the truth is, it's hard to be authentic in a world that constantly pushes you to be something you're not. Everywhere you look, there's pressure to fit in to certain molds, to live up to unrealistic standards, to become someone else's version of success, and that pressure can feel suffocating. It can make you question who you really are and what you really want. But here's the reality: when you try to be someone else, you lose the very thing that makes you unique. You lose the power that comes from being authentically yourself. Being authentic isn't always easy. It takes vulnerability. It means letting go of the need for approval and moving into your truth. Then, if it means standing alone, it's about saying, this is me, take it or leave it, and the power that comes from this. It's unshakable because when you know who you are, when you stand firm in your identity, no one can shake you. It doesn't matter what other people think because you've already accepted yourself fully. That's the kind of confidence that comes from sincerity. It's the kind of strength that isn't based on external validation. When you're authentic, you're not putting on a show. You're not pretending to be something you're not. You're not hiding behind masks or trying to live up to someone else's standards. You're simply showing up as yourself, and that's powerful because the world doesn't need more copies. It needs more originals. And the more you embrace who you truly are, the more you'll begin to attract people who respect that authenticity, who appreciate you for the real you, not for the person you're pretending to be. It's the foundation of all meaningful connections, whether in work relationships or friendships. People are pulled to authenticity because it's rare, it's refreshing, and it's real. When you bring your true self to the table, it's impossible to be anything less than magnetic. So stop pretending to be someone else. Stop conforming to the expectations of others, and start owning who you are, because when you do, you'll find a strength in your authenticity that no one can take away from you. Strength comes from authenticity. There is a deep power in being unapologetically yourself, and yet so many people are afraid of that. They're afraid of showing the world who they really are because it feels too risky, too vulnerable, too exposed. But let me tell you something: strength doesn't come from hiding who you are. It doesn't come from pretending to be something you're not in order to fit in or please others. True strength is rooted in authenticity. When you can walk into any room, face any challenge, and be fully unapologetically yourself, that's when you unlock your real power. It doesn't matter if people like it or not, because you're not here to please anyone else. You're here to be who you were always meant to be. And there's a power that comes with that unshakable confidence that no one can take from you. You see, the world is full of people who are pretending. They're wearing masks, following TR friends, trying to be what society tells them they should be. They're chasing someone else's version of success, someone else's idea of happiness, and they wonder why they feel empty, why they feel disconnected. It's because they're living a life that isn't their own. They're not being true to who they are. But when you stop pretending, when you stop trying to live up to someone else's expectations, that's when you start to feel truly alive. That's when you start to feel like you're walking your own path, not someone else's. It's a feeling that comes from deep within, and it's impossible to fake. It's the confidence that comes from knowing exactly who you are, exactly what you stand for, and exactly what you're capable of. And when you carry that confidence with you, people notice it's magnetic. It draws respect because here's the thing: people don't respect the person who is always trying to be someone else. They respect the person who stands firm in our own skin, the person who isn't afraid to speak their truth, no matter how uncomfortable it might be. The irony is that the more authentic you are, the more you attract people who are matched with your energy, with your truth. You stop wasting time with people who don't appreciate you for who you truly are, and instead you start surrounding yourself with individuals who see your value, who respect you for your unique traits. The key is not to seek validation from others, but to give yourself that affirmation first. When you stop seeking approval from the outside world and start depending on your own inner confidence, you'll be surprised at how many doors open up for you. The universe, or whatever higher power you believe in, can only deliver what you're willing to accept. And if you accept yourself fully, if you know your worth and stand in it without apology, you'll find that the right opportunities, the right people, and the right circumstances will start to show up in your life. You'll stop chasing after things that aren't connected with who you truly are, and you'll start attracting everything that is. The truth is, strength doesn't come from being tough all the time. It doesn't come from trying to have it all together. Strength comes from vulnerability, from being ready to show the world your true self, flaws and all. That's where the real power lies. It's not about being perfect. It's not about putting on a facade and trying to be invincible. Real strength is about accepting yourself, your strengths, your faults, your flaws, and your beauty without apology. It's about saying, "This is me, take it or leave it," and knowing that you are enough just as you are. When you accept that authenticity, when you let go of the need to prove yourself to anyone, that's when you stop caring about what people think of you. You stop letting their judgments define your worth. You stop letting their opinions dictate your actions. And that's when you truly step into your power, because when you're being authentic, you're no longer living for anyone else. You're living for yourself. You're not here to meet someone else's standards. You're here to meet your own. Now, let's talk about the importance of attracting the right people into your life. If you want respect, you have to first be able to give it to yourself, but it doesn't stop there. You also need to surround yourself with the right people, the people who lift you up, who challenge you, who support you, and who understand your worth. But here's the thing: if you're not respecting yourself, if you're not standing firm in your own boundaries, if you're constantly compromising your values just to fit in, then you're going to attract people who don't respect you. Either you'll attract people who take advantage of you, who treat you like you're expendable, or who don't appreciate the real you. But when you start respecting yourself, when you know your worth, when you're clear on your values and what you stand for, that's when you start attracting people who align with your energy. You stop attracting people who drain you, and you start attracting people who inspire you, who elevate you, and who push you to be your best self. This isn't just about relationships. This applies to every area of your life, whether it's friendships, business partnerships, or romantic relationships. The principle is the same. You can't attract the right people until you start respecting yourself, and when you do, you'll find that the people you attract are the ones who see you for who you really are, not for some version of you that you're pretending to be. You'll surround yourself with people who value you, who encourage you to grow, and who support you in all your endeavors. They won't try to change you. They won't try to make you fit into a mold that doesn't suit you. They'll accept you for who you are, flaws and all, and they'll push you to become the best version of yourself, not by changing who you are, but by helping you grow into the person you're meant to be. It all starts with self-respect. It all starts with you, because if you don't respect yourself, you're never going to attract the people who will respect you. You have to set the standard, and you have to live by it. When you do that, everything else will follow. You'll stop wasting time on people who don't deserve you, and you'll start building meaningful, fulfilling relationships that are built on mutual respect, admiration, and authenticity. And the beauty of it is that the more you respect yourself, the more you will naturally attract the right people into your life, and that's how you build a life that's truly worth living, a life that's aligned with who you are, a life that reflects your highest potential. Because when you respect yourself and when you live authentically, you'll find that everything else falls into place. Challenge the status quo. This idea is simple in concept, but often daunting in reality. It's not easy to stand against the tide, especially when the world is pushing you to conform, to follow the rules, to stick with the crowd. But real growth, real change, and real success come from the courage to question what's expected of you. The truth is the majority of people are content with sticking in their comfort zones, with doing what they've always done because it's familiar, because it's a safe. But safe doesn't change the world. Safe doesn't lead to innovation, to progress, or to fulfillment. If you want to achieve something extraordinary, if you want to make a real difference, then you have to get comfortable with challenging the status quo. You have to be ready to do things differently, to break the mold, and to defy expectations. It's not about rebellion for the sake of rebellion. It's about knowing that the path everyone else is on might not be the right path for you. It's about seeing the bigger picture and understanding that following in everyone else's footsteps won't lead you to the life you want. The world will always have rules, norms, and customs, but those things aren't carved in stone. They're made by people, and people have the power to change them. But in order to change them, you first have to be able to stand apart from the crowd. You have to be okay with being misunderstood, with not always being accepted, with challenging people's ideas of who you should be and what you should do. When you begin to challenge the